hired those killers was taking care to hide his true identity.
It's a very grave offence to wear another's coat of arms.
No true knight would do it.
Welcome back to Dark Corner's Physical Media Reviews. Another legacy release from Hammer this week, and another from their pre-horror days, 1954's The Men of Sherwood.
You, I presume, are Robin Hood.
I am, my lord.
Hammer would continue to make swashbucklers alongside their horror films, and indeed would make a few more Robin Hoods, but this is their first, directed by Val Guest, who would go on to helm the Quatermass experiment.
I'm Quatermass. I'll be in charge from here on, Inspector.
It's also their first colour film, so paving the way to The Curse of Frankenstein in that regard. This is not the traditional Robin Hood story you tend to see in most movie versions. There's little robbing from the rich and no giving to the poor, although I think it's implied.
It's one of the richest monasteries in the north, for it squeezes the last penny from the poor people who live in its land.
How dare you!
The Sheriff of Nottingham is replaced by Douglas Wilmer's splendidly villainous Sir Nigel. Not sure why that replacement's been made, but he's excellent. Likewise, Maid Marian is absent, replaced by Lady Alice.
Your messenger, sir.
Played by Eileen Moore, who takes a pleasingly active role. The plot too diverges from the usual story into sometimes complex intrigues.
You say it's a toy, and yet it holds the king's life in its hands?
Involving a secret message sent in a toy and the merry men being framed for regicide.
Why the Greenwood close?
So that when we kill the king, everyone will think it was done by Robin Hood's outlaws.
All this might make you wonder, why make it a Robin Hood film? Are they just exploiting the name? And they're not, because the character is spot on.
You still fancy yourself, Tuck?
Don Taylor, better known I would guess as director of films like Escape from the Planet of the Apes, despite being an American Robin Hood in a British film, nails the charisma,
God save the king!
the athleticism, and the almost arrogant self-confidence of Hood.
Then I am guilty of the deadly sin of envy. But as that is clearly the only sin that I shall be allowed to be guilty of.
While he and Guest give the character a toughness often absent from these films.
Now who is she, Hugo? I'll tell you, I don't know.
Taylor would later marry Hazel Court, Elizabeth from The Curse of Frankenstein. The film also benefits from Reginald Beckwith's disreputable Friar Tuck.
One pair, two pairs, three of a kind,
Here introducing poker to the Normans.
4 aces. Walter thy breeches.
I've also got to mention the brief appearance of future Carry On star Bernard Bresslaw.
Hubert says I have the thickest skull in Bolton.
Because Bresslaw would have been Frankenstein's creature if Christopher Lee hadn't come cheaper. I have a pretty high bar for Robin Hood stories, not least because I have written and directed one myself. And I really enjoyed this. It's not the definitive Robin Hood because it's not even trying to be. In a way, it feels more like part of a TV series. It's not the main story, just an adventure of the week. But what a fun adventure. It's got action, it's got comedy.
Is he as handsome as they say?
Robin Hood, my child, is as handsome as the rear end of a horse.
It's got quite a surprising romance. I say no more, but again, it just worked for me.
Alice.
Amongst the extras, there's a new commentary by David Huckvale, always value for money, particularly on music, on which subject there's Sherwood's Secret Weapon, in which Neil Brand discusses the work of composer Doreen Carr-Withen, who does a really fantastic score for this. Features looking at Hammer's adventure films of the 50s and 60s, on the use of colour in British films and the effect it had on Hammer, and A Welcome Guest, in which Neil Sinyard looks at all aspects of the film and its director Val Guest. There's also Wolf's Head, an unaired 1969 TV pilot that Hammer purchased in the early 70s to use as a second feature. So this release tops and tails Hammer's association with the character of Robin Hood. It's a lovely bonus to have, directed by John Howe and starring David Warbeck, both later of Twins of Evil. Surprisingly high quality production and a far grimmer vision than Men of Sherwood, showing how attitudes and tastes change in 15 years. Also comes with a somewhat dry commentary by Tim Worthington and an interview with director John Howe. Another very fine looking case. Inside, there are the posters. That's a nice poster, I think, in Eastman colour. On the back, different aspect. Quite nice. I prefer the first one, to be honest. Really, the trouble that's gone to with this is extraordinary. I do think Douglas Wilmer looks so much like Basil Rathbone. I don't know if it's just because Basil Rathbone also played a Robin Hood bad guy. It's a really nice one of Eileen Moore as well. I think this is actually better than some of the ones we've seen previously, where the likenesses are a little bit off, but that just seems to catch Reginald Beckwith's character of Friar Tuck very nicely. 3-disc set, all good. Wolf's Head here, which is the TV pilot. These really have become the treats of these releases for the die-hard fans. There is so much in here. Unless you've had access to the Hammer archive yourself, there's probably stuff that you don't know in here. Very good little making-of article here. There's stuff about Don Taylor himself as actor and director, better known as a director generally. And I didn't realise when I started looking through this that we have actually reviewed one of the films that he directed, the 1977 Island of Dr. Moreau. And also for our bad movie strand, we have reviewed a film in which he acted, Love Slaves of the Amazons, directed by Kurt Sielmet, which is a terrible film and was apparently one of the films that was responsible for him quitting acting. And who could blame him?
Now wait a minute! Now wait a minute, ladies! We haven't been introduced! You're too friendly! Now, ladies!
That picture alone tells you the difference that having colour made, and they obviously tailored the film to make the best use of the colour. Look at that. And the article talks about that and the use of colour, but then goes on to how that would affect Hammer films in the future, because of course horror in colour was a really huge selling point for Hammer. This is about the TV show Wolf's Head, which just had the pilot. That's David Warbeck there. The best stuff in these booklets is the little archival snippets, the ephemera that's left over. And this is a series of letters, initially about Wolf's Head, but then as it goes on through the exchange, then there's later in I think 1973, then Hammer was pitching its own Robin Hood TV series. Yes, Robin Hood and the Red Baron, and is about the rescue of Richard, which is...
It's not fighting a Nazi pilot.
Not fighting it. No, that is actually... They'd have had to change the title because it is ridiculous. That's exactly where your mind goes. Richard being a prisoner is a key plot point in the Men of Sherwood Forest, so it all ties up nicely. An interview with John Howe, who directed Wolf's Head and who went on to direct Twins of Evil. So I think it was, I don't know if it was Wolf's Head that brought him to their attention, but that seems not unlikely. This is part of a series, ongoing series through these booklets, The Men Who Ran Hammer, so interesting to see more about Michael Carreras. I always forget how early he started in Hammer films, because straight into the family business very early on, because I always associate him with the Mummy films. And this is another sort of ongoing series that they interview people who you haven't necessarily heard of outside of the directors, the writers, the stars, the producers. There was, of course, a huge family of people working at Hammer, most of whom were there for years and years and years. And this is an interview with John Jay, who was with Hammer for 7 years as a photographer. And it just gives you a whole other perspective on Hammer, sort of outside of of what you usually see. I think this is so, it's valuable as film history as much as fascinating. It really is. Yeah, that's something I look forward to in these a great deal.
Good shot, Robin!
Of the lesser-known Hammer releases that these box sets are slowly revealing, this is my favourite so far. It's not reinventing the wheel, but that's actually its strength. It's as if someone said, we're not going to top the Errol Flynn version, let's just make a good film. And damn it, they did.
And that's all you wish to tell?
That's all there is, I swear it.
Thanks for watching. Thoughts on Robin Hood films, this one or others? What are your favourite cinematic Robin Hoods? Let us know in the comments below.